All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Whoa. We're on camera. We're supposed to be this. Hey.
Wait, give me back. This episode's sponsored by hostess Jumbo Honey Buns.
Honey buns.
Jumbo Honey Buns. Jumbo Honey Buns. Get close there. Jumbo Honey Buns.
It is a package of stuff that you don't need.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the voice of the Nevada National Guard. I'm your host, our first class Rob Deal. Today with me, my co-host, the state chaplain of the Nevada National Guard, Chaplain Todd Brown.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we are all freshened up and ready to get back on topic. Thanks again for coming out today.
Man, I'm so glad to be here.
Yes.
Really am. When you broke out the honey buns, I kind of lost my mind. Just saying. So I don't even remember what we were talking about. Fishing? No. We were talking about communication and all this, that, and the other. And you had, when we went to break, just before we went to break, you were going to share with us your experience, first time go around, your first enlistment, and the difficulties, challenges you had there with the communication and your spouse and et cetera. Please share.
Yes. So I'm gonna
go in here.
You've had so much fun time now. Hi. So glad you could join us today. So let's go back to us.
Hello.
Yes. So first time in the military, I was in high school. If you watch the first episode, I did allude to how I ended up in the military. Quite by accident, I ended up in the Guard.
Yep.
My dad was going to move me out in trash bags because I had graduated. I was full grown. I was getting ready to be 19. I was wild. He still had two younger sons to raise, and he was like, "You gotta go," right? So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Ended up going to an air show with my family, and there was a recruiter on the other side of the field, and I ran like Sound of Music. The hills are alive with the sound of music.
Go, son.
Literally across the field, and I smacked my hand up against the table, and I was like, "Sign me up." And it just happened to be a National Guard recruiter. Yeah. Right? So joined the Guard in, it would have been August of 1992. August 1992. I needed to get gone fast because I was going to fail my first semester of college. Ooh. He said, "When do you want to go?" I said, "How about now?"
Yep.
And I signed a form. It was triplicates, carbons I had to bear down. In fact, my country recruiter's like, "Bear down, boy. You got to get 3 copies." Right?
People don't even know what carbon copies are.
No, they don't.
No, they have no clue.
So 17 days later, I was at Fort Benning, Georgia. Turned 19 at Fort Benning, home for boys. Right before I left, I met a girl. Okay. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I was on a country line dance team. And I toured up and down the... You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that, did you?
And I loved you till right now. I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding.
I was on a country line dance team, and we were doing our thing, and I met a girl. She was a two-stepper.
Oh,
she was a two-stepper, and I fell
I've
madly.
heard weird things about two-steppers.
I fell madly in love with her, and then I left for basic training, and we wrote letters and stuff. And when I got back, I was still smitten with her, and ended up moving around and moved to her hometown. We got engaged, and got married in. Let's see, it would have been 95. Wow. I'm dating myself, right? October of 95, we got married. And so I had been in the Guard since August of 1992. Yeah. And then we got married in 95. And in that period of time, she never once said anything negative about the military.
And she saw you going off to drill. She saw you, not drill, but she saw you going off to doing your thing. Yep. And there was no communication about it.
Yes. Seems like there's a theme here.
Yes.
Hey, welcome back. Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, there's a theme here. So, so I was doing National Guard. Yeah, absolutely. I was doing the whole thing, right? Yeah. The ATs in the summer. And then after we got married, of course, that's a whole nother story for another day. Maybe when we have the topic of marriage, we'll get there.
Good.
If you have an opportunity, the Strong Bod's date night coming up.
August 17th.
August 17th.
We will have the website below for you to see.
I love how we segue into that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So anyways, married, and then she started complaining about it was 95, right? So it wasn't long after Desert Storm and that sort of stuff. And so anytime anything came on the TV about it, she would just chatter. And that's when I knew I had a problem. I was like, wait, because anything about the military would come on and she would just be shaking her fist and fussing at the screen.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really knew that there was a crack in the armor, you know. Anyway, fast forward, she starts complaining about National Guard drill.
Yeah.
And she starts complaining about annual training and the 2 weeks in the summer and complaining about how long it takes for me to get paid because I didn't have the vacation time I was an IT guy.
Yeah.
And I only got 2 weeks of vacation and I wasn't going to take my vacation to go to annual training.
Nope.
Which meant that there was a lapse in pay, like legitimately.
Of course.
There's a lot of people dealing. Maybe that's a topic for another day, right?
Yeah.
The pay and the challenges, right? And the benefits and opportunities as far as financial gain. Anyway, so it got worse and worse over the years where we got to a place where a week or two before National Guard drill, she would start complaining. Wow. And then she would get louder and louder and louder. And it'd be and there's, you know what, comment down below if you have a similar story here, a similar experience, right? I would get to the Friday before drill, and I was in a signal unit in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Okay.
The 228 Signal Brigade. Shout out to 228. By Friday, she would be at a fever pitch. And I'm going to make fun of her. She's super country from South Carolina. She was like, you go down there and do nothing? Y'all going to sit around and do nothing? Right? If she sees this, she'll be like, I don't sound like that. Anyway.
You got to do that voice more. I'm loving that thing, man. That was good stuff right there.
So she just thought that I was just wasting time, you know, and we had an acre property and a big pretty house, and there was always work to do. You know?
Always work to do.
You have a farm and you got stuff to take care of. And so there was always stuff to do, and she would just, by Friday, she was mad. Oh. And that went on for years, right? And so first 6 years, I got to the end of my, in 1998, I was going to ETS in September of 98. And about 3 or 4 months before my ETS date, the fever pitch stayed there.
Oh, it was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I was trying to decide what I was going to do, was I going to stay in the Guard? You know, because at that point I joined at 18, getting ready to be 19.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I knew that it would be beneficial for me to stay in.
Of course.
It had opened a lot of doors for me, gave me a lot of training. I got my IT job based on the IT experience I got in the Guard.
Yep.
It was a great opportunity, but she really made my life difficult because of my part-time commitment to the Nevada, at that time, to the South Carolina Guard. Right?
Yeah.
And so there really, I never found a solution. I maybe it was, comment down below what you've done to correct it. Chaplain Brown, in our first segment, you mentioned that communication was the key. I'm going to fall on the sword and say that I never figured out how to effectively communicate with her and work through it and get her on board with supporting my military service. And then I got out in September 1998, and she and I subsequently divorced in 2001 is when we started to separate. And you know, be honest with you, I never looked back after I got out of the military. I did regret getting out, but it wasn't like you know how some people are super passionate, like, oh my gosh, I made a terrible mistake. I never felt that way.
Yeah.
But I knew that I had lost out on the benefits that I was out for many, many years.
Yeah.
And so my not being able to effectively communicate and get past that hurdle with her caused me to get out of the National Guard. And then fast forward, I was out for 13 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Economy crashes, couldn't find work, moved cross country to Nevada, end up back in the Guard after 13 years. Now, what's the moral, right? The moral of the story is about this, and then I want to come back to your topic of communication. Don't let me forget.
Oh, yeah.
Is I'm 50 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the military total now for 20 years.
Okay.
But I'm 50. Yeah. I still have another 6 years to do active Guard in order to retire. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I'll be 56 and retire with 26 years in the military, have benefits from the rest of my life. So it still ended up being a good story.
Of course.
Right? But had I stayed in, had I been able to figure out how to communicate effectively and get her on board with it and supportive, maybe we wouldn't have divorced.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have already retired as a sergeant major.
Yeah.
But you can't go back. But this is relevant to today's topic.
Yes.
And it hits home with me because I could have stayed in that entire period and
Yes.
chose to get out to appease my now ex-wife.
Yes. Do you mind if I dig into that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, thank you for sharing.
Sure.
First, I really want to. First question that I would have is, and I think that a lot of us deal with this when it comes to a spouse, like the topic that we're talking about today, a spouse or a loved one that doesn't necessarily support what we're doing. You use the term, if I could have convinced her. I think that oftentimes we believe that we're going to convince somebody, or we're going to say something very profound, or we're going to wave the American flag or the state flag or whatever enough times that they're just going to come alongside of us. My question to you would be this: what did you back up? What do you know of her past that may or may not have driven her disdain or her not support of your guardrail of your service?
To be perfectly honest with you, it's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I've remarried and got kids, and
Yep.
So I think that there was some, and I'm just guessing here.
Yeah, of course.
But there was I'm gonna be very careful because she might see this at some point.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And respect her privacy.
Of course.
She had a turbulent relationship with her father,
Okay.
and he ultimately took his life.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And it was after, I believe it was after we had divorced. And my best guess is that there was I don't remember if he ever served. I don't think he did.
Okay.
And I know that there's not a direct correlation between a turbulent relationship with a daughter and her father. But I think that there was, somebody's big brain, they could draw a correlation between service in the military and a turbulent relationship with,
Of course.
with a father.
Yeah, and I got to be honest with you. I set you up. I set you up. You know what I'm saying? I did that purposefully. I asked that question purposefully.
Yeah.
To prove a point, and I'm picking on you because I love you and we're friends and we get this.
Absolutely. And I will take it.
You said if I could convince her.
Sure.
We can't convince anybody of anything. Meaning, I'm going to try to impart my opinion, my views on you. We can't do that. What was missing there was you didn't gather knowledge, information, her history, her everything, to have a conversation about why she was frustrated or why your spouse was frustrated, disappointed, angry, whatever it is when it came time for you to serve. Rather you thought I failed at convincing her. That's what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
I failed at convincing her.
Sure.
We don't have to convince them, but we just have to talk about it and understand what perspective they're coming from. Meaning, we don't know this. You don't know this. Maybe her dad did serve, or maybe her mom served, or maybe her uncle served, or maybe somebody in their family served, and there was something that was, brewing from past, and that reminded her. So having that conversation, and all of a sudden, now that's out on the table, you don't have to convince them of anything. Having their opinion, their view heard, so that you can work together in going forward. So, if anything, I'm sorry for setting you up, but you jumped right into that pool, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Give me a honey bun, let's get it on.
Well, this is for growth. If you guys didn't know that you guys have tuned in here, the intent is to capture real and raw conversations about real world experience.
Come on.
And hoping that at some point something comes across that resonates with you and that helps you work through something that you're going through in your life and in your military career or your past service.
Yeah.
Helps you.
Because you're not the only person that's ever experienced that.
Sure.
I can almost assure you that half the people watching this are going, yep, I remember a time that happened to me too.
Well,
it may not have led to divorce. It may not have led to something, but they're going, I can connect with that. And we have to remember, it's not about convincing them of my opinion. It's not about convincing them of my calling. It's about having communication so that we can see each other's perspective and come to common ground so that we can continue mission serving if that's the case. Now, let me go down another path real quick.
I have a question for you after you get done with that.
Another path real quick. And that is, I've had people come to me and say, you know what? I'm contemplating getting out. I've only served for 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever. This is how long I've served, and I'm contemplating getting out. And I'll say to them, well, tell me why. Multiple different reasons, or whatever, family or life or job or whatever it is. And I know that recruiters don't want to hear me say this, but the reality is if the season is over for you, for your service, man, move on. Proud of you for what you did. Proud of you for doing it for 3 years, 6 years, 12 years, 20 years, whatever it is. Service, we're thankful for your service. How many times you hear that in the stores that you're going to? Hey, thank you for your service. Whether they don't say, hey, thank you for your 8 years of service. Thank you for your 6 years of service. Thank you for your 25 years. They say, thank you for your service. And so the reality is we have to remember that not everybody wants to serve 20 years. Not everybody wants to serve 25 years. They do their 6 years and go, you know what? I check that block, or I feel satisfied with my service at this point. And so, you know what? I'm going to go out. And my tell to that young man or woman that comes in my office and asks that is, I want them to leave there with their head high, knowing that the service that they gave was appreciated and they were valued and there was a sense of belonging, whether they have a 13-year break in service or they never come back. Thank you.
Powerful. My question to you.
Let's hear it.
Earlier, we discussed in the first segment
Yes.
that one of the things that you have uncovered in all of the conversations you've had counseling people in your official capacity with the Nevada Guard was typically the challenge with support for that service member. The root cause is a lack of communication.
Yes.
And I had no idea. I've only experienced it through my lens with my first marriage and divorce.
Yep.
My first period in the military. And that's always weighed heavy on my mind.
Of course.
Right? So I see it through that lens. And I don't know that I have ever gotten outside of myself to see that other people experience that in different ways. And in fact, you even said at some point that you've experienced that in your marriage at different junctures, but you were able to your point, get back down into the heart of the challenge and work through it. So I'm going to put you on the spot. My question to you is, we have uncovered that a service member serving that has let me back up. A service member with family that satellites them. It could be mom, dad, depending on the culture, right? It could be a spouse. It could be a significant other. It could be anyone who has a significant stake in that human.
Yes.
Right? That person is not supportive, right? You said the root cause is communication.
Yeah.
So for those of in our audience that have tuned in that have that challenge actively, either a few times like you suggested, or their house is on fire.
Come on.
And lack of support for their military service is part of the equation. And it's going to rattle their cage if they're no longer a part of the military, and essentially it could cause their house of cards to fall. Right?
Yes.
How do we communicate effectively to get to a space where the soldier is happy and healthy serving and the family is relatively whole as it pertains to their military service? How do we do that?
Oh, good question. Really good question. Here's the thing that I will say before I actually get to an answer, whether it's leadership, being a mom or a dad, being a coworker, being a family member, being a community member, being a church member, being whatever it is, if we want to get better at anything, you got to communicate. I would challenge anybody out there listening today or anywhere, look at any model that says, hey, if you want to be a better leader, you have to do these 6 things. If you want to be a better husband, wife, you got to do these 6 things. If you want to have a stronger relationship, you got to do these things. I will absolutely assure you that every single one of those models, in one way or another, will have communication on that list. without question. Communication is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Rephrase that. The best thing that we can do to improve ourselves and move ourselves to the next level, whatever that level is understand how important communication is. And so I say that, I'm so thankful you asked that question, because oftentimes people say to me, well, how? Because we could sit up here and say all these great things. We could say all these wonderful, profound things, which we don't, but all these wonderful things. And then people go, well, great, thanks for leaving me hanging. How do I do that? And when it comes to communicating, it's a challenge. It's an art. It's a science. It's everything. One of the first things I would do is figure out how to be a good listener. Figure out how to be a good listener. There's plenty of books out there. There's plenty of websites. There's plenty of things on how to be an active listener. And truly read them and try to understand how you can apply those things in your life. Oftentimes we listen so that we can say something. How often do we just listen to listen? Now, I'm sorry to pick on you again, but when it came to your ex-wife and stuff, chances are you didn't listen. And I'm not being mean.
That's
not
fair.
Being mean, just being honest.
Absolutely fair.
Chances are you didn't listen. You heard her frustration, her anger, her disappointment, and you automatically got defensive. And that's just natural. That's what we do.
Sure.
But the reality is if you had a chance to redo it, redo those moments, saying, hey, I hear your frustration. I hear your anger. Where does it come from? I want to understand where that frustration comes from. Then all of a sudden we become a listener. But guess what that is? That's 50%, if not more, of what communication is. So oftentimes we relate communication with just me running my pie hole, like what I'm doing right now. I'm communicating. But 50% of being a successful communicator is being a good listener. And I would say it's even higher oftentimes, if not 75% of being a good communicator is being a good listener. I don't have any statistical data. I don't have any facts to back that up. That's just Todd's experienced opinion. How do we communicate? A, be a good listener. And if you're not a good listener, figure it out. Don't just listen so that you can come up with an answer, come up with a solution. Listen, because sometimes people just want to be heard. And guess what? That in and of itself may solve the problem. Second, when it comes to communication, there's all sorts of forms of it. Nonverbal communication. You ever heard of that? How many times have you been in a communication with somebody and they say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. You're not being a good listener right now. I'm just telling you. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. So we have to be aware of what our body language is doing. Interesting point. I knew a police officer, young police officer, and he was going through his training days when he had an FTO. I think that's what it's called, a field training officer. He was assigned to somebody, and that somebody was to be mentored and do this, that, and the other, help him be better and be ready to go out on the streets on his own. And the FTO actually gave him a book and said, read this book 100 times, underline, do this, that, and the other, because this will save your life. Sounds like pretty good stuff right there, right? I think we all should read that. And you know what the book was about? Understanding body language. Understanding body language. Understanding how people communicate through body language. Because if I'm a police officer, I need to understand that. If somebody's agitated, if somebody's this, that, and the other, it's a safety thing. And so when we boil that down to communicating with our spouse, our loved ones, those who have a frustration towards our military service, don't just get defensive. Don't just try to persuade them of why it's so important. Understand that they have a perspective and they want to be heard. Listen to it. It's part of communication. Another thing that we do, this is what Monica and I do. As you know, I have a pretty busy schedule. I do traveling. I do this, that, and the other. So I'm moving and grooving a lot. And so what I do at the beginning of each year is I print out good old-fashioned paper. I print out a calendar. And it's normal size, all 12 months, and then we start writing in it. Because I know that I'm going to go to a conference during this week, and so I write it in that week. I flip to this month and I think I got to go to a conference here. Or I put drill on every single month where I'm going to be drilling. I put my AT on there. It's our calendar, and it's become what we look at. I mean, it's the most used thing in our house. I have a travel next month, and Monica grabbed the calendar and she was looking at the next month, and she's like, I don't see the travel that you just talked to me about on our calendar for next month. And I went, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to put that on there. I could have said, well, yeah, no, I just didn't have time to do it. Negative. It's our opportunity to communicate about what we're doing. And it's simply writing a pencil and being intentional about putting that up there. Now, is it always, maybe sometimes I forget to put something up there, or she forgets to put something up there. Yes, there's got to be grace. But that's just another form of communication. That's all it is. And it's fun too, if you think about it. We're going to Disneyland, and guess what? That's on the calendar, and we put it in highlight, or we put it in a different color, and so that when we turn to that, it brings a smile automatically. And I can say to her, or she can say to me, "Hey, did you do this in preparation to go to Disneyland?" Oh, no, I didn't. I need to get on that. So it's a great form to be able to communicate at a very non-defensive level. It's baby steps, and some people out there think, and I've made this suggestion 1,000 times at marriage retreats, couples that come in and see me for counseling or whatever, and a lot of them will say, well, we have that on our phones, or we have that on our computers. Okay, I got to be careful here. If that works for you, great. But through my experience and through my time of doing calendaring and communicating like that way, it doesn't have a very good success rate because people don't do it all the time. The calendar is hanging in our kitchen by the dining room table. I mean, literally, there's multiple times that Monica or I will be eating dinner together at the dinner table, and I'll reach over and grab the calendar, and I'll be like, "Hey, yeah, you're tracking that I'm doing this next month." "Oh yeah, I am." So it's a communication thing. I'm not saying that modern technology and the apps that we have out there don't work effectively. In my experience, they don't have a huge success rate. The good old-fashioned paper calendar has a huge success rate.
Fascinating.
Because another thing about the paper calendar is I'm being intentional about filling it out.
And there's a responsibility to your significant other and theirs to you. So that there's more intrinsic value to it than just the actual act of putting that information on the calendar. Yeah,
it's huge. It's huge. So back to you said, well, what do? We got to be a good listener. And if that's not what you're doing, you got to figure out how to do that. 2, you can't convince people of things. Sometimes they just want to be heard. And part of communication is being heard, understanding the art of hearing somebody, not just listening, but I'm hearing you. I'm hearing what you're saying. I hear what your heart's telling me right now. And then confirm in that hearing and listening part, there's nothing wrong with just saying, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I apologize. Now I do. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Part of listening is making sure that we hear them and letting them know that we hear them. I get this all the time from Monica, well, I didn't know that you heard me. Why? Because maybe as me, and I'm sure plenty of people out there, including yourself, we heard it. We're already operationalizing it. We're already putting it into action and how we can make things happen, but we didn't confirm with them that we heard them. And so they know nothing rather than just going, oh, I hear you. Okay. Gotcha. Thanks for sharing. Nothing wrong with that. That's part of hearing. That's part of communicating. And last, let's make something visible, like a calendar, so that we can share that. If you have young kids at home, there's going to be times that there's not necessarily their birthday party, but maybe a family birthday party that you definitely want to go to, or maybe there's a soccer game that, whatever, putting all of that in there. And here's the thing. We've been doing this long enough that there is no excuse from the younger soldiers, younger airmen, that, oh, I didn't know that when we were drilling. Wrong. That drill schedule comes out a long ways in advance. Now, am I saying it's perfect? No. Sometimes it goes left, sometimes it goes right. But I would say that 80% of those dates are pretty solid. And so being able to put that into the calendar at the beginning of the year, and you know that, and you can plan around those things, it's so huge. So how do we get people to support us when we struggle? Communication. And there's so many different ways that we can do it. And I just mentioned a few. I would love it if my wife was here. She's a therapist, and I would love to know what her concepts are and her perspectives were on all the counseling and the therapy that she's done on how she's helped people communicate better. So I don't know if that answers your question.
You nailed it.
Okay.
The topic and one of the things I love about this podcast, The Voice of the Nevada Guard, is the opportunity to discuss real world challenges that men and women face in service.
Come on.
Right? I want to make sure, and that has to be a hallmark to our conversations, which is this is not about guard service, not about Army versus Air. This is about service.
Come on.
A noble tradition.
Yes.
Right? And something that was profound to me today in our conversation was that you brought out the fact that this is not a job. It's not a normal job.
No.
And the commitment from a significant other, family, spouse, anyone who is satelliting a service member, their ability to get outside of the kind of the hard shell that is military service and just be angry at the thing.
Yeah.
And their ability, I'm just regurgitating, their ability with the service member to come together and discuss each of their individual challenges that leads to that conversation that might be good or bad.
Yes.
So what I take away from you and your solution is that you have to be, first and foremost, a good listener.
Yes.
And you have to, this is tough to say, I got 2 divorces under my belt. You have to want to listen.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. I hear what you're saying, but I would change the wording.
Yeah.
I have to listen to hear them.
I love that. So at Devil's Advocate, there are always a lot of factors that lead to any conversation.
Yeah.
And the lens that the people communicating are looking through.
Yeah.
Right. So again, what was profound to me was that you said that you have to ask the questions.
Yeah.
You have to find out and dig why they feel that way, as opposed to coming at them for their feelings.
Yeah, and I know that we're going long, but I really want to talk about this one. I didn't say this.
And listening. That's the most important part.
Huge listening.
Asking the questions.
But you said it. You said asking the question. Thank you for the good reminder. It just kicked off in my brain. When we ask the question, it's got to be legit. It's got to be real. It's got to be from the heart. It's got to be from me. Meaning, this is the wrong way to ask a question. Why are you all jacked up and supporting me? That's wrong. I mean, straight up. But here's the right way to ask that question. Hey, I love doing what I do. And I know that, you struggle with it. Help me understand why. Then there's no defense there. Help me understand why. Because oftentimes we go at a conversation, when I tell you communicate, some people out there are going to get aggressive. They're going to get defensive. They're going to get this, that, and the other of, hey, I heard a podcast that said we need to communicate. You need to tell me why you don't support me. Wrong. Hey, I love doing what I do. Man, this service that I am doing, I feel a part of a team. I feel a sense of belonging. I mean, it's bigger than me. And I know that you have difficulties and challenges with it. Help me understand them.
That is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I regurgitated it best back to you.
Yeah.
But that's what I heard, what I absorbed.
Yeah.
Was, because I have significant experience with this topic, right? From a user's perspective,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the lens that I look at it, which is exactly to your point, which is how did I come to the table when those things were happening, when she was not a fan of my being in the Guard,
Yep.
and the fever pitch that built until drill weekend,
Yep.
and AT and money and this just constant.
Yep.
How did I come at her which I'm sure it's been a long time ago, but I'm sure that it was just abrasive. And, there's more to it, of course.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to hear what she had to say, to be
Yep.
honest with you. And let's be real here. And we're going to close on this.
Okay.
Right? When I went to marriage counseling with my first wife,
Yeah.
it was long after we should have
Yep.
visited a counselor.
Which are 75% of them.
And he said to me, this is a 4-alarm fire with somebody trying to put it out with a sprinkler from the front yard.
Yeah.
So who's to say that early on in the marriage, if it had a chance, and being in the Guard was a big deal for her,
Yeah.
and my coming at her abrasively because I was not happy in my relationship,
Yep.
and she was not happy with a couple of things
Yep.
that we won't go down those roads, right?
Of course.
Normal marriage stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that just happened to be the thing that we were grinding the axe with.
Yep.
And I'm sure that I was aggressive in conversation with her to say, why don't you just,
Yep.
like, I signed a contract. I have to go.
Yep.
Like, I now that when I'm saying that out loud for everyone to hear, I hear myself saying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's third person. Here's something. I know that you said we're going to end on this, but and we don't need to go down this. This could be I think this could be another topic, another time.
Sure.
Along the same vein, though, we're talking about those who don't support us in our service and what we can do in communication, all this, that, and the other. And what we have used a lot was husband, wife, spouse, mom, dad, community, church members, whatever it is. There's something that I think that we need to talk about in the future. What about my older children, meaning my 12-year-old, 14, 15, 16, 17, that teen child that hates the military because it took mom and dad away for a year at a time? What about that 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old that dad or mom missed the birthday party that he really, or the baseball game, or this? How do I convey to that individual? How do I convey to that loved child that service is good?
And in our first podcast ever, we touched on that.
We did touch on that a little bit.
We touched on that, deployments, and
Yep.
both of us have been deployed with kids.
Yep.
And so I would love, let's do that.
And
In
from a perspective of from a kid, I mean, man, dad, I'm just going to use dad because that's my perspective, is dad puts on that uniform once a month, and I don't get to hang out with him. I don't get to play with him. I don't get to go fishing with him. I don't get to do this. And then when he puts on that uniform and he goes away for a year at a time, it's easy for a child to say, I don't want no part of that.
Profound.
Anyways,
Profound.
Anyways.
So recap.
Okay.
This is the second in a 3-part series. The first was on being in the military with kids.
Yep.
Right? Just a broad topic. And
Yep.
and we we talked about a lot.
We did.
If you haven't had an opportunity to see the first podcast in this 3-part series, make sure you go check that out. We'll put it up here in the cards because if you're serving or you used to serve and you're working through how you feel about the past or the future, it's a great opportunity for you to go through with us what we have experienced personally with combined 40 years of service in the military and kids, grown kids.
Yep.
And the second in the series today was specifically serving with a satelliting family member who is not supportive, not a fan, aggressive or not, just not supportive, and how that impacts our third and final in the series, which is, do I want to complete 20 years in the military to be able to hang on to those benefits for the rest of my life? So when we close this out, when we come back, and I think we're going to do it next week or week after. I think you have some travel coming up. But we'll dive down. Comment down below some of the topics that you guys want to make sure that we touch on that third and final in the series, wrapping everything up about service in the military and completing 20 years. Because let me tell you something. If you meet somebody who is retired after 20 years in the military, they have faced adversity.
Yes. Without doubt.
First,
Without a doubt.
faced adversity. How do we close this out? I am so excited that you are here today with me. I just wanted to thank again our sponsor today.
Oh, yeah.
Our sponsor today, Hostess Jumbo Honey Buns.
Give me one of those honey buns.
Here you go. You take it with you for the road.
Oh,
when you get gone. All right, join us next week for the third and final in our podcast series about serving the military with family. That's it.
You rock, brother.
I love you.
I love you too, man.
You are awesome.
Thanks for
You
the
should
honey
try
bun.
it. Let's try it.
Deal.
Ready?
I'm ready. You don't have to tell me twice.
All right, let's try it.
Have you ever had one of these?
Not this one in particular. Let's try this. Is this chocolate covered?
It's disgusting.
Is it? Oh God!
It's horrible. Who would want to eat this?
It's terrible.
It's really good. That was fun as always.
You think it'd be funny if we were joking that we were eating the honey buns?
I really thought about that already. I'm like, hey, dude, hand me one of those honey buns. Let's get it on. You should have it open so that in case one of us feel like grabbing one.
Right. I'm not sure we should be having this much fun.
No, I think it's against the rules.
I think this is going to be in the blooper reel. Like, why am I having so much trouble? Fade to black.